Recently, I asked Eli Ayala a question on one of his live streams, and this is just a quick response to his answer.
I assume the impossibility of the contrary is a logical impossibility. Okay, so I'll say that again. He assumes the impossibility of the contrary is a logical impossibility.
Eli reads this as the impossibility of the contrary is a logical impossibility, but of course that's not what I wrote. I was not saying the impossibility of the contrary is a logical impossibility. I was suggesting the impossibility was a logical one, as opposed to, say, a physical impossibility like jumping to the moon. It's an innocent mistake, but as you'll see, his entire response to me is based on this tiny mistake.
Denying Christianity commits me to two logically incompatible statements, like saying, I am a married bachelor. Christianity is false or the Trinity does not exist. Do these assertions commit me to contradictions like, I am a married bachelor? And then he says here, if they don't commit me to a contradiction, what does the impossibility of the contrary even mean? Um, wow, that's a very interesting, very interesting question. So let's take a look. Let's put this one up here. He says, I assume the impossibility of the contrary is a logical impossibility. That's an interesting statement. That sounds problematic as I'm reading it. So the statement, the impossibility of the contrary is logically impossible, appears it appears to me that that's a self-refuting or at least logically problematic statement. So
He is, of course, entirely correct. If that's what I had said, it would be logically problematic.
yeah, I think that's there's a problem there. So this is because it seems that to assert that it is logically impossible for any contrary statement to be logically impossible, right? If we interpret the statement strictly, that does seem to lead to a contradiction. So the phrase, the impossibility of the contrary, is often used to express the idea that a particular proposition or a statement is so well supported or evident that its opposite is inconceivable or logically impossible. So when we talk about the impossibility of the contrary, we're typically talking within the context of transcendental arguments, which are anti-skeptical arguments that seek to secure a certain truth, like a proposition, like the Christian worldview is true, or things like when we're appealing to logic, things that are necessary preconditions for the meaningfulness of other things. Okay, so when you apply that statement to itself, if we take the statement to mean that it's logically impossible for any contrary statement to be logically impossible, that seems like a contradiction. So I think the problem is with the question itself. The question itself, I think, is incoherent. So those would be my thoughts on that. That seems a little interesting. Yeah. I assume the impossibility of the contrary is a logical impossibility. Yeah, that seems contradictory to me. Yeah. Those are my thoughts there. Again, if the question is ill-formed, then the rest of the question really falls by the wayside. It's really incoherent at the start. So hope that makes sense. Those are my thoughts on there, man.
I did leave this response under the video, and he has an upcoming video entitled Response to YouTube Comments, so we'll see if he gets back to me.